Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Design. Today I thought we'd do something a little bit different, so I'll just jump right in. I got an email from a fellow Chris. There's a lot of us out there. He says, I've been trying to design this dining room table for my wife, but need your expertise. She likes the idea of having rounded corners on the top, but a very geometric bottom. I know it doesn't look right, but can't figure out why. Please help. All right, well, here I am to help. So let's pop open the Sketchup file that he sent me. So what I figured I'd do instead of just the normal, normally I kind of pre-plan it out. I draw out some things and then I just talk about what changes I made. But instead what I think I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of look at it in real time and model something new based on this and just, I don't know, let's just see what comes out. So, okay, so we're in his model here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the top and just make a white square just so that I'm not being influenced by the top at all. Plus, I don't know, when I'm working in SketchUp, I don't like to have textures or colors or anything to start with. I just like to concentrate on the shape. So let's just delete that and just draw a nice square in there or a rectangle, I suppose, for the top. Okay, and now let's make a component. And now we're ready to go. Okay. So the first thing that I notice is that I actually already like it better just having the rectangular top instead of the rounded top, but that's something that his wife wants, so we're going to obviously try to keep that as part of the design element, but we'll get to that later. Let's just concentrate on the base right now. So the thing that sticks out to me initially is that the base to me kind of looks like it used to be one thing in the center, like it used to be like that. And then we're just splitting it apart. Obviously, that would not be a very good design. You're probably going to tip over if you lean on this end over here. But anyway, yeah, it looks like it used to be one thing that's split apart. So it almost looks like there's extra components or extra pieces. So let's try to simplify. Let's just work off of this shape and see if we can kind of simplify it a little bit. To start with, here, let me see. I'm just going to explode his thing just so I can kind of see how it was built a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start off by... I'm going to delete that, then I'm going to rotate this whole thing. Let's turn it back into a component. Then I'm going to rotate this whole thing 45 degrees. And then let's just recenter it real quick. I know that looks funny now, but boom, now it's centered. Okay, so now we got our nice centered piece that we can start working with. Then I'm going to delete this piece. Just clean up this. I don't like having I don't like having a bunch of extra lines in my model, so I tend to, as I'm building things, I like to just kind of go through and delete extra stuff because it affects the way that I think, so I just don't even want to see it. This guy we can copy. Actually, you know what? We're not going to copy it because it's going to get too confusing with rotating and everything, so what I'm going to do instead is just hide that and then just draw in another piece. So look at that, and now that I did that, I can actually go in and get rid of that extra line that I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise. So get rid of that puppy, go back in my model. Just bear with me here. I'm really not sure exactly what I'm doing at this point. I'm just kind of playing with things. So hopefully it comes out good. If it doesn't, then oh well. Okay. Turn that into a piece. Okay, so now you can kind of start to see where I'm going with this thing, I guess. Let's do the same thing to the bottom here real quick. So if I remember correctly, I can actually just extend this line to there, draw a rectangle, a triangle, pull that up. I don't need this piece. And I can delete all my extra lines. And then I'll draw in my other piece just like last time real quick. Now we have something here. Okay, let's unhide so that we can, I want to be able to see my top again and I hit it. So unhide that. Let's delete this puppy. 180 degrees. Again, sometimes, oh look, I forgot to draw my bottom there. Sometimes when you're working with other people's models to start with, things can get a little confusing. I'm going to blame that. I think that's what's going on here. So let's just pull this over this way, all the way to the end. Just because what I do is I like to start at the extreme, so I pull it out as far as it could go. Obviously, it's not going to want to be there. Then I will look at it from the front and just kind of see, okay, where should it probably be? That is too far out, so let's just go in maybe, let's try 14 inches. No, maybe 12 inches. Let's try 12 inches. That'll be a good starting spot. So we'll put both of them in 12 inches. That might be a little bit too far, and maybe let's go back out 2 inches on each side. Again, we're not going to worry about that too much right now. Let's just call that good for now. And then the other thing is, so now, another face missing here. Enough with taking care of every line. Let's just get cracking here. I don't want to bore you guys too much. All right, so now we're going to make a stretcher, because now I feel like it needs a stretcher, right? That looks a little funny. So let's just go such. Again, we're just playing around here still. Just going to go out 1 inch. Just figuring things out still. Not too worried about... Oh, look, that's not meeting up, so something went funky there. Hang on, let's try to fix this while we're... Move this guy like that, then we should be good. Okay. Now we can continue on here. Now we have this piece, and I'm just gonna double it over here and flip it along the green axis. Then I'm gonna, all right, let's copy that guy down here. Here's the shape we have at this point. I don't know if this is too far off from his initial thing, but I actually like the way this looks better. And I mean, I started with the original design, so I feel like I can proceed, right? So now let's work on the top. I remember, now he said that his wife really wanted rounded corners. So maybe not as rounded. It looked like those other ones had like a big, I don't know, 4-inch radius on them or something. So what if we were to play with the idea of maybe doing like a, well here, let's start off, let's just draw a small radius in, like maybe 1.5. So I'm just gonna make some guides that are 1.5 inches in, and I'll use these later. So I'm just gonna put one along each edge here. And then what if you were to have like a really long arc on either side? Something subtle. So it still has that curve, but it's not so blatant and fighting with the geometric base. So I'm just gonna get my arc tool here, and let's just look at it from the top. Let's try like 3 inches. That's not subtle enough. Let's just try 1.5 inches. So the whole thing's, the arc comes out 1.5 inches further than what it is at the corners. So if you were to do something like this, you'd probably want to make like a little template and then use that to route out the same shape on either side. Then I'm just gonna complete the arc here using my guides that I had made a couple minutes ago. And then we'll delete all the extra stuff and pull it out, and we'll see what it looks like. So let's delete all these extra lines. These guides can go away. And I don't, normally if I was making this, what I would actually do is I would sit there and draw it a bunch of times until I was happy with it. I'm not going to do that for the purposes of this. I'll just kind of see what it looks like and then decide, do I like it? Or if not, okay, well maybe I would try doing it again and just making the arc more aggressive or not as aggressive or whatever. So let's pull it down 1.5 inches. All right. Boy, what do I think? I don't love it, but it's not bugging me as much. Yeah, I feel like I can live with that a little bit more. Let's maybe put like a bevel on the underside of the top here. So I'm just gonna copy this line down, maybe, I don't know, 1/2 inch. Select this, and let's just see if this lightens things up a little bit here. Yeah, it's doing something. Here, let's get rid of these extra lines. These are bugging me. Yeah, I think this is a little better. I'm a little happier with this, I suppose. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Maybe, maybe now if you were to then soften each one of these pieces as well. It's hard to tell in the drawing sometimes, but just kind of round over all of these sharp corners. Maybe that'll help everything to blend more. Usually they don't look that good in the drawing, but you can get the point. And again, I'm not going for any kind of specific rounding here. I'm just taking away the edges just to see. I don't know. Now it looks funny just because of the weird shading that it puts on it. Let's switch the style. Let's throw some shadow on there too. It's a late afternoon shadow. All right, so there we go. Do I love it? Maybe not, but I wouldn't be ashamed to have that in my dining room table. So I don't know, maybe you guys have some other ideas. I thought it would be fun to just kind of play around with a drawing in real time. Maybe give you guys some insight into the way that I go about things. And, typically if I'm designing a piece of furniture, what I would do is this 10 times over. So I would say, okay, I like this idea better than the last one, but it's still far from a finished idea. So then I would refine this one. Maybe it looks a little thin here, so maybe make these come out further. Oh, it's also not touching the ground. Floating table. But yeah, that's just kind of the way that I go about designing, taking it step by step, making incremental improvements until eventually you end up with something that you're happy with. So I don't know, hopefully you found that somewhat entertaining, and I'll talk to you next time. Take it easy. Bye.